evening, everyone. Today is Monday, October 27th, 2025. This is a special meeting and workshop of the Board of Education. First order of business is to call the meeting to order. Can I have a motion? G. Second. Lou. All in favor? Okay. Next is to convene to an executive session. Can I have a motion? Joel. Second. Pete. All in favor? Okay. We will be back around 7:30. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. Sorry that we are a little bit late. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. So we're going to start with board comments if anybody has anything. But, yes. Sorry, one second. We're doing it. Okay. All right. So board comments. Anybody have anything?
Waiting for comments after the presentation. Yeah. Thank you. There's a couple of updates. I just wanted to kind of share some goings on with the district before we this evening. So first and foremost, I wanted to thank our district steering committee for coming together last week. We had a great first meeting. Different stakeholders came in. We had the meeting here in the library, just kind of setting the charge and the mission for the district and the work the team's going to engage in. So more will be forthcoming for the steering committee. We're going to be sending out some community surveys in the near future. I plan on 2 meetings in November, then probably 1 in December, with the goal of really getting our communication surveys ready. We're going to take a look at the previous superintendent surveys that were done last year as part of the search to get some of that feedback. We're also going to be checking in a lot of the district data as a team to kind of confirm where we're doing well, look at some areas that we're really proud of, and then also start to identify some areas of need for the district. And then really working with the community to further engage with how we can communicate with all stakeholders, individual meetings, or different events to gather the pulse of the community about the priorities of our school district. The goal for our team is really to continue to work collaboratively with the board and also with all of our stakeholders in the community to forge with our long-term steering plan, long-term strategic plan, with the goal of presenting a draft to the board in June as part of the workshop and then hopefully adoption by the board at our later action meeting in June. So that's the timeline. There are more communications to come, but I'll keep updating the community and sending out different communications with our progress as a team. One of the things I discussed with the team members, it's a very transparent process. We want to really engage people. It's not confidential as we go and start to discuss priorities. Obviously, the team, we want to refine those, but we want to really have open dialogue and the things in the work that we're doing so that everyone's fully aware and informed, and we'll get progress updates along the way for that. So, another update on the position, very important position for our district, the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Technology. So, there's updating the community. We did, obviously, I mentioned earlier this year, we had a late resignation, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances. So we did go out and advertise for the position. We did a full interview search. Unfortunately, going through that process, we didn't find the right candidate that we're looking for Tuckahoe from the applicants. So through discussions with the board, we reposted as an interim position. So we're looking at candidates now. We're looking at some of the applicants that goes through the end of this school year. A very qualified person to be a great resource for us, provide the leadership this year with the goal of eventually finding a great candidate in spring to fulfill that position long term. So one of the priorities I set to the board and also for our hiring committees is that we're never going to settle. We're going to make sure that we bring the best and brightest candidates and make sure that we have the right instructional leader to take that important position for us to join our administrative team and support the work of the district. On the horizon for us, we've got Superintendent's Conference Day coming up, so just a little plug in terms of our superintendent goals and the work we're going to be doing as an administrative team. So we're excited that November 4th, Election Day, when our students will be sleeping and will be hard at work here at the district, really going into professional development. We're going to focus a great deal on the curriculum mapping. So we've partnered with Atlas, Rubicon Atlas, to begin that through the instructional and technology platform that we're going to use. So we're going to be providing professional development with all of our teachers, getting them set up, and more importantly, giving them time once trained up to really work and start to get their current curriculums onto the platform. And then we can start to take a deep dive into alignment and a much longer process. So that'll begin on the 4th, and then we're also going to be spending some time with professional development on an AI platform. So the board was kind enough to approve last year the Magic School AI platform. So we're going to be giving that the login information to teachers at the beginning of this year, but now we're going to start with some professional development and really go into how that tool can be used for instructional purposes, for lesson planning, to have another platform, and then we'll kind of expand from there. So those are two of the highlights for Students Conference Day, along with a number of other things that we'll be looking for. I wanted to send a congratulations to our SEPTA here at Freeport. So in Tuckahoe, we got the good news that the SEPTA charter is moving forward for December 2nd. So congratulations to all of our parent leaders that took on that charge, that have begun the process of getting a SEPTA chapter recognized here at Tuckahoe. So they have a slate of officers that will be going up for recognition and vote as they formalize that as an official charter. So congratulations, President Alexander Campagna, Vice President Flor Ramirez, Recording Secretary Julia Saragusa, Corresponding Secretary Jody DeLeo, and Treasurer Megan Kaliski-Bellino. So congratulations for all of our parent leaders and for putting that important initiative forward, and we look forward to celebrating them on the 2nd. And I'll have some comments at the end, but just wanted to highlight those part of my remarks at the start of the game. Thank you.
Mr. Roberts. Comments from the business manager? I don't have any comments here. Comments from our ex-officio?
Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited for November 4th for the interest week. Our student life has been going great. The final loss was way success. Everyone was very happy with that. I think we scared the kids a little too much in the beginning, so sorry to any parents who were kids. And we're very excited for the development of the parade, where we get to bring our community together even more. Thank you.
Okay. One thing that I did want to mention that I forgot about was we sent out on Friday a board email, which is going to be new, and hopefully we'll be doing it monthly, maybe bi-monthly. But basically it's a little snapshot of what has happened on our board meetings with a link to watch the board meetings, and then it does at the end list what the upcoming workshops and regular meeting dates are and times and how to get that information. And at the very end, there is an infographic about what the board is responsible for and what we are not responsible for, just to give everyone a good idea of what we actually do. So it's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time. It aligns with our goal of more community engagement, and it's a way that I felt, we can bring the information to you rather than having to search for it. And also, often people would say to me, what does the board do? And so the infographic was really to give a strong representation of something easy to see so you can understand what our role truly is and what we are not responsible for. And another thing that a lot of people have asked me since the email went out was, what is the difference between a workshop and a regular meeting? So a workshop is what you're seeing tonight, where basically the board is doing business of the board just in public. We don't allow for public comment in workshops. We just kind of work together, and it's for the public to see. They're generally presentations. Personally, I feel that they're really like the meat behind the district. It's really great to see presentations and the data that is presented to the board. Regular meetings are more the business of getting things settled throughout the district. regular meetings are where you can come to the podium and give public comment. Workshops you can't. However, you are encouraged to pay attention, you are encouraged to attend, to watch, and if you do have questions and comments, email them in and somebody will respond to you if it's something that needs a response. So it's not that you can't have anything, just we don't allow it during this sort of meeting. But certainly, all meetings that are listed on the newsletter on the website are technically public meetings where the public is encouraged to pay attention and to participate. Okay. So, if nobody else has anything to say, then we will have the presentation spotlight on college programs and student success, SEL, literacy practice, and data review by our CONL administrators, Mr. Morash and Mr. Clegane.
All right, so good evening, Superintendent Roberts, Board of Education President Ms. Holleran, members of the Board of Education, and our Connell and Tuckahoe community. On behalf of the William E. Connell Elementary School, we thank you for the opportunity to present this evening. Tonight, we are excited to share an overview of the wonderful work happening at Connell, highlighting the continued commitment to our students, staff, and families in academic and social-emotional excellence. Our presentation will focus on two areas: updates on existing and new programs at Connell, and an in-depth look at academic progress and data review in math, and a special focus on literacy. We will begin by sharing updates to our positive behavioral interventions and supports program, PAWS, and how we are strengthening school culture through consistent expectations, student leadership opportunities, and community building initiatives. Over the summer, members of the PAWS committee, Ms. Mundell, Ms. LaVista, Ms. Valentine, Ms. Crotty, and Ms. Connolly met to revamp the program as part of a summer curriculum project. A focus was placed on initiatives that promote kindness, acceptance, and inclusion while also tying into social-emotional learning to build resilience, self-confidence, and positive behavior. Using the values outlined within PAWS, monthly themes were identified and will be targeted throughout the building. Each theme is also embedded within the morning announcements. One book was selected for each monthly theme and is read aloud in each class from UPK to 5th grade. Each book is accompanied by a differentiated follow-up activity to reinforce the theme. Every month, one class per grade will display their work related to the read aloud on one of our PAWS bulletin boards. This initiative aims to build universal language and a common focus among students and staff, highlight our PAWS values, and instill intrinsic motivation. This month, Class 1DC and Class 5 CGS joined forces to explore the PAWS theme, Be Brave, Be You. Together with their teachers, Ms. Castro, Mr. Fusco, and Ms. Feastman, students read Adopt by Peter H. Reynolds, discussing its inspiring message about courage, creativity, and self-expression. After reflecting on how bravery can mean trying something new and believing in themselves, students in 1st and 5th grade worked together to create their own unique dot artwork to celebrate their individuality and confidence. Another wonderful addition to our PAWS program is the introduction of the Pawtastic Award. At the end of each month, 2 to 3 students are nominated by each teacher. Students who exemplify PAW-worthy behaviors, particularly those associated with the monthly theme, are nominated. Winners are announced at a grade level assembly and given a certificate at the end of each month. Winners will also take a picture with Cody the Connell Cub, which will be displayed on the new PAW Wall of Fame bulletin board. Still in the works, and in partnership with the PTA and the PTA Grants Committee, the PAWS Committee is looking into guest speakers to discuss topics such as empathy, respect, inclusion, belonging, and making healthy choices. We are also looking to expand our experiences to foster social emotional learning and mental well-being. Those experiences include yoga practices, pet therapy, and animal-assisted activities. Now we're going to talk about one of our new programs here at Tuckahoe, the Executive Functioning Program. Excuse me while I switch over to Canva. Thank you to Gary Miller for assisting me in this change. This switch over. There we go. All right. This year we're excited to introduce a new Executive Functioning course for our 4th and 5th graders here at Tuckahoe School. The course is being taught by our STEAM teacher, Ms. Miggins, who worked tirelessly over the summer through a summer curriculum project to design and develop the curriculum for this new offering. Executive functioning refers to a set of cognitive skills that help students to plan, organize, focus attention, remember instructions, and manage time and emotions. These skills function as the brain's control center, guiding students as they set goals and develop action plans, stay organized and monitor progress, initiate and sustain attention on tasks, regulate behavior and emotions, and adapt flexibility when faced with challenges or change. Together, these abilities form the foundation of academic achievement, social success, and lifelong learning. Strong executive functioning skills help students take responsibility for their work, manage time and materials, improve focus and perseverance, work well with others, and feel confident and independent. These skills are key for academic success and life beyond the classroom. Additionally, as an extension of our new executive functioning course, our college students will participate in an improv class with unthinkable comedy during their cycle. Improvisation, or improv, activities can improve executive functions by training the brain to be more flexible, adaptive, and creative. Now let's hear from some of our 4th and 5th grade Tuckahoe Cubs who are participating in this first cohort of the Tuckahoe Executive Functioning course.
My favorite executive functioning skill is Pomodoro technique because it's a time management thing. So like I would recommend 10 minutes to 25 minutes to do your first Pomodoro, and then you get a 5-minute break, and then you keep doing it again and again.
Favorite strategy is make it a song because it helps me remember what I need for school.
My favorite strategy for focus is meditation because it helps my body calm down and get ready to focus on people. It makes an activity seem less boring.
My favorite skill is the first then. First then is a time management skill that you only plan for your next 2 tasks.
I like the strategy, eat the frog, which is you gotta get the hardest task out of the way first so you could do all the easier tasks. I used this once when doing my math homework. There was a very hard question, but I got it out of the way so I could finish it faster.
My favorite executive functioning strategy is count down from 5 because before my brain stops me, I could get up and go.
My favorite strategy is reducing the distractions around me so I can get my work done.
A special thanks to Tuckahoe Cubs Eli, Tahara, Zoe, Parker, Hunter, Axel, and Vera. And of course, a very special thanks to Ms. Miggins on her tireless work in creating this curriculum over the summer, continuing to build on it in its pilot year. Ms. Silver, our school counselor, has been leading a comprehensive SEL program that supports all students while also taking the lead on monitoring attendance and reducing chronic absenteeism. Each month, Ms. Silver provides classroom lessons to every grade focused on a different SEL theme. Things like friendship, respect, stress management, and kindness. These lessons build common language and strategies across the school so that teachers and students are all speaking the same SEL language. In addition to in-school instruction, Ms. Silver sends a monthly newsletter home to families. The newsletter includes what students learned, the books and songs she used in lessons, and simple ways for families to continue those conversations at home. This keeps families informed, reinforces SEL beyond the classroom, and helps strengthen the connection between home and school. This pyramid shows the different levels of counseling support available to students. All students receive monthly classroom lessons. Some students participate in small groups. Right now, that includes social skills groups for kindergarten and first grade, and a new executive functioning group for second and third grade. Ms. Silver will also meet individually with students for short-term support, usually 4 to 6 sessions, to help them work through a specific challenge or problem. Ms. Silver's role also includes monitoring chronic absenteeism. Once a month, she meets with Cottle administration to review attendance data and identify any students who have missed 10% or more of school days. We use a structured process that includes letters home, phone calls, and parent meetings when needed, and we document everything carefully so we can track trends and follow up consistently. This focused, team-based approach has made a real difference. Our chronic absenteeism rate has dropped from 9% to just 5% since we began this process. That's nearly half the number of students missing significant amount of school. And it reflects the impact of proactive communication and family partnerships. Overall, our SEL and attendance work go hand in hand. When students feel supported socially and emotionally, they're more engaged, more connected, and more present at school.
Next, we would like to take a deep dive into some of the instructional practices at Cottle that have had a positive impact on learning, particularly literacy. This chart illustrates the many programs, support, and assessments that have been steadily and methodically implemented over the course of the last 7 years to better address literacy at William E. Cottle. We have heard some say that programs at Cottle are introduced and then shortly are removed. As you can see, this is not the case. New programs that were introduced have in fact been extended into other grades and continue year to year. As illustrated in the chart, programs like Foundations, Reading Wonders, Hegarty, Units of Study and Social Studies /ELA cross-curricular reading practices have been both implemented and sustained. Similarly, assessment tools such as iReady and Dibbles that have been introduced or gradually integrated still contribute to our continuous improvement efforts through the insight that their data and resources provide. Furthermore, successful practices such as partial and full content specialty models in grades 4 and 5 are always undergoing refinement. For example, as of last school year, the WIN period has been expanded to 5 times per week in grade 5. Last year, our grade 4 and 5 ELA teachers, interventionists, and special education teachers underwent training in Linda Mood Bell. Additionally, last year we began piloting Wordly Wise in grades 3 through 5. And we rolled out Universal Design for Learning practices, which were supported by the enlistment of an outside consultant to further bolster academic growth by providing different ways for students to access content and different options to show what they've learned. At Cottle, our K-2 literacy instruction is built on a strong, research-based foundation that supports early reading and language development. We use Integrity to explicitly teach phonemic awareness, helping students recognize and manipulate sounds in spoken words. Foundations builds on that by focusing on phonics, handwriting, and spelling patterns, giving students the tools they need to decode and write words accurately. Through Reading Wonders, students develop reading comprehension, vocabulary, and fluency as they engage with rich text across various genres. New this year, our speech and language pathologists are pushing into kindergarten classrooms once a week. This proactive approach allows them to support students with potential language processing or articulation needs right within the Tier 1 classroom setting. Another initiative to ensure that all students build a strong foundation for literacy success from the very start. A large-scale study by the Harvard Graduate School of Education found that a content-rich science curriculum for nearly 3,000 students across 30 schools resulted in improved reading comprehension, not only on science texts, but also texts in history and literature, demonstrating how building background knowledge enhances literacy. William E. Cottle is utilizing and emphasizing cross-curricular lesson content in all grades. Third grade uses an integrated cross-curricular approach to ELA, Science and Social Studies curriculum. Students are exposed to a variety of fiction and nonfiction texts. These texts are used to build content knowledge and develop strong comprehension skills. The students learn how to annotate text, pull out keywords and details, and analyze information. Students also learn how to curate their own claims about what they have read and use details to support their thinking. They also learn to generalize these strategies and use them not just for other content areas, but in the real world. In addition to text, students are also building comprehension with documents such as infographics and models. They are using these tools to learn about topics and to also to create them to teach others what they have learned. The content and skills they are learning in third grade help students become lifelong learners. So here we'd like to share a snapshot of how a cross-curricular approach to reading and writing standards is applied in grade 4 ELA novel studies and social studies. In grade 4, 2 literary novels, Fourth Grade Rats and Eagle Song, and an historical novel, Pedro's Journey, are taught in tandem with social studies units on New York State geography and European explorers of New York. Reading and writing skills developed in ELA literacy lessons are applied to complete research and writing assignments in social studies. Likewise, concepts and vocabulary garnered from reading informational texts in social studies leads to a deeper understanding and appreciation of their fourth grade novel studies. Reading standards are cross-curricular and are focused in all content areas. For example, as students read an informational text about New York State, they continuously build content knowledge that then will dovetail with events and characters in their novel studies. Students make connections between literature and history. Through maps, text features, journal readings, and hands-on activities, students develop a deeper understanding of the content they read. Cross-curricular writing pieces have students apply skills like drawing inferences, identifying themes, and making text-to-text and text-to-self connections, and help to build and apply vocabulary effectively. New this year in grade 4, teachers are using the English Language Arts Companion Book to reinforce and extend classroom instruction. This resource provides students with additional practice in the exact reading and writing strategies they are learning during core lessons. It supports key grade 4 skills such as close reading and citing text evidence, summarizing and analyzing fiction and nonfiction text, constructing well-organized written responses, strengthening grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure. By using this companion book consistently, students are getting more opportunities to apply strategies, deepen comprehension, and build confidence as readers and writers. This cross-curricular emphasis continues in grade 5 across all content areas. Here, we can see a partial list of grade 5 reading and writing standards and how these standards are applied through science units. For example, the students' understanding that their statements must be backed up with detailed evidence from the text is equally valuable in science as well as in ELA. The effects of cross-curricular applications are cumulative. Applying ELA reading and writing skills to other content areas becomes automatic. Vice versa, as students accumulate content knowledge from science, social studies, and other subjects, understanding of concepts and flourishing vocabulary adds to their ability to read more fluently, more accurately, and with deeper understanding of all reading material. This is also reflected in their writing assignments as they learn to write with greater detail, with more complex vocabulary, and express themselves more precisely. Units of study also utilized to build vocabulary in context and meet New York State reading standards. Novels include Dark Water Rising by Marion Hale, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, and Esperanza's Rising by Pam Nunez Ryan. Similar to grade 4, teachers in grade 5 are also using the English Language Arts Companion book to reinforce and extend classroom instruction. This resource provides students with additional practice in the same reading and writing strategies they are learning during core lessons. This year, our approach to reading continues to get stronger and more comprehensive. We have continued to use our existing research-based interventions, such as the Haggerty Phonemic Awareness Program. That is a program that is set research-based, explicit, and systematic daily lessons to help young students develop crucial phonemic awareness skills. The Linda Bell Visualizing and Verbalizing Program develops concept imagery, which improves reading and listening comprehension, memory, oral vocabulary, critical thinking, and writing. The Wilson Reading System is an intensive, evidence-based intervention program for students in grades 2 to 12. This program focuses on the foundational skills like phonology, spelling, fluency, and comprehension. The PAF, or Preventing Academic Failure Reading Program, is a comprehensive multisensory program that builds foundational skills used as a beginning reading program in kindergarten or as an intervention for struggling readers. Fun and Focus is an intervention kit for struggling readers within the Foundations program, designed to provide small group, targeted practice and reinforcement. The kit is intended for students who require additional support beyond the standard Tier 1 instruction. This year, we are also very fortunate to welcome our new literacy specialist, Ms. Connie Beatty. She has quickly become an important part of our team. Her primary focus is on early literacy in grades K1 and 2, where students are learning how to read, not just reading to learn. She supports foundational skills using the programs we discussed: Foundations, Haggerty, PAF, and Fun and Focus. Right now, in addition to providing RTI Tier 2 and Tier 3 small group pull-outs, Ms. Beatty is able to push directly into every kindergarten classroom for 45 minutes each week, working alongside the kindergarten teachers to support early readers within the classroom environment. This approach not only strengthens instruction, but also supports our commitment to the least restrictive environment, keeping students in their classroom community while still receiving targeted support. While her main work is in K1 and 2, she also continues to work with a small upper grade comprehension group where support is still needed. We are truly grateful to have Ms. Beatty with us this year. She has jumped right in and is already making a meaningful impact.
Finally, the last piece of our presentation will share an overview of our New York State assessment results and our iReady benchmark data. We want to begin by noting that all of the data, New York State testing data and iReady data that you'll see tonight includes every student. General education students, special education students, English language learners, and students with 504s. Every child is included in these results because every child is a part of our story. While the New York State assessments only measure students in grades 3 through 5, it's important to recognize that these results are truly a reflection of the work being done from kindergarten all the way through grade 5. The foundation built in K through 2 directly contributes to the success we see in the grades tested through New York State testing. At Tuckahoe, we believe strongly that we all own the data. We'll begin by reviewing our math and New York State testing data and then transition into our math iReady data. And we'll follow the same format for reading. On the screen, this is the updated format that parents can access through their parent portal following the release of the 2024-2025 New York State grades 3 through 8 math assessment results. This report is designed to give families a clear, easy to understand summary of their child's performance on the state math exam, along with how that performance compares to both school, district, and state averages. On this slide, you'll see the New York State math assessment results from last year's grade 3 students, who are now our current 4th graders and the graduating class of 2035. As highlighted here, 74 out of 79 students, or 94% of the cohort, scored at or above proficiency of the New York State math exam. That means that nearly every student in this group met or exceeded state standards. This level of performance is not only impressive, it is a direct reflection of the strength of our instructional program and the dedication of our amazing teachers, staff, students, and families. Some areas that contributed to this success: strong classroom instruction and curriculum alignment, the WIN or What I Need time and early interventions, teacher collaboration and data-driven practices, and families who support learning at home and reinforce high expectations. Next, we have the New York State math assessment results from last year's grade 4 students, who are now our current grade 5 students and the graduating class of 2034. This slide shows their performance over 2 years. Looking on the left side of the slide, in 2024, when this cohort was in grade 3, 75 out of 83 students scored at or above proficiency. That's 90% of the cohort demonstrating proficiency in math. Now on the right side, in 2025, 77 students scored at or above proficiency, bringing the proficiency rate to 92%. So for this group, the class of 2034, we saw a 2% increase in proficiency from one year to the next. This is not only strong performance, but evidence of sustained growth and continued excellence. It shows that our students are not just maintaining success, but improving as they move through the grades. It highlights the effectiveness of our instructional practices, especially around problem solving, number sense, and multi-step mathematical reasoning. It reflects strong alignment between core instruction, intervention supports like win time, and our commitment to using data to adjust and respond to student needs in the classrooms and through our RTI process. And importantly, this growth represents the collaboration of administration, teachers, students, families, and support staff, everyone working toward a shared goal of student success. Here we are looking at the New York State Math Assessment results for last year's 5th graders who are now the current 6th grade cohort, the class of 2033. This slide shows their performance across 2 testing years. On the left side in 2024, while this group was in grade 4, 55 out of 73 students scored at or above proficiency, which represents 75% of the cohort meeting or exceeding grade level expectations. On the right, in 2025, 58 students scored at or above proficiency, raising the proficiency rate to 77%. This marks a 2% increase in proficiency for the class of 2033, showing that not only are students performing well, they are growing and moving in an upward direction. This is significant because this is a cohort that faced some of its foundational math years during pandemic disruptions, yet they continue to climb and demonstrate resilience and strength in their learning. They are growing in key areas such as multi-step problem solving, fractions, algebraic thinking, and mathematical reasoning. The progress shown here reflects the impact of strong Tier 1 instruction, targeted supports through win time and AIS, and a commitment from teachers to implement data-informed instruction, intervention, and enrichment. And as always, behind these numbers are families and a community that partner with us, encourage students, and believe in their success. This slide compares the average grades 3 through 5 New York State math proficiency scores, which is levels 3 and 4, across districts in the lower Hudson Valley region. You'll notice Tuckahoe highlighted in green with an 88% proficiency rate. What makes this especially notable is that this represents a 6% increase from last year's grades 3 through 5 proficiency average. So not only are we performing at a high level, we are also continuing to grow at a meaningful and measurable rate. With 88% of students in grades 3 through 5 meeting or exceeding proficiency, Tuckahoe is among the top performing districts in the region. Tuckahoe is not only achieving excellence, it is growing year over year. This is something we should truly celebrate. Our students are achieving, they are growing, and they are doing so within a supportive, close-knit community that believes in them. This slide tells a powerful story. It shows how much growth our students made in kindergarten through grade 5 in mathematics last school year based on our iReady benchmark assessment. In the fall of 2024, 34% of students in grades K through 5 were already meeting or exceeding grade level expectations. 55% of students were ready to access grade level curriculum, and 11% of students were 2 or more grade levels below. Another way to look at this is if you look at the faded line, which represents fall 2024, the students that are in the checkered green and in the green are already meeting or exceeding the grade level standards of the grade level they are about to enter. The students in yellow, that 55%, are ready to access the grade level curriculum that they are about to enter or are entering. So they arguably are on grade level in the fall of 2024. This fall data gave us a roadmap. It helped the teachers group students, identify needs, inform how to structure our WIN periods, provide AIS and RTI supports immediately, and of course, special education supports went into effect on day one. By spring of 2025, 78% of students in grades K through 5 were meeting or exceeding grade level standards. That is more than double where we were when we started in the fall. 19% are still approaching grade level readiness, and 3% of students were 2 or more grade levels below, down from 11% in the fall. This slide represents our beginning of year iReady Math benchmark data for grades K through 5, taken this fall, 2025. It's important to remember that this data is a starting point. It tells us where our students are as they enter the school year, and it helps us target instruction, provide support, and accelerate growth from the very beginning. What's really encouraging about this data is how much potential and readiness we see in our students. 33% of our kindergarten through grade 5 students are already meeting or exceeding grade level expectations. These students are on or above grade level at the start of the year. In addition, 54% of students are ready to access grade level curriculum. These students are actually on grade level and ready to access their current grade level's curriculum. Of those students, 12% of the students are receiving AIS or RTI supports or support through special education. Taken together, that means that 87% of our students are either already on grade level or positioned to access grade level content successfully with classroom instruction. Finally, 12% of students are 2 or more grade levels below. This is a much smaller portion of our population, and they are the students who benefit most from structured intervention and specialized support. Within this group, 73% are receiving AIS, RTI support, or support from special education. And if past years are any indication, our students make tremendous growth from fall to spring. We have a strong history of students moving up 1, 2, sometimes even 3 levels with consistent instruction and support. This data is not a finish line, it's our starting point, and it shows that our students are capable, they are ready, and with our teachers' expertise, we are set up for another year of outstanding growth. Now on the screen, this is the updated format that parents can access through their parent portal following the release of the 24-25 New York State grades 3 through 8 ELA assessment results. Again, this report is designed to give families a clear, easy-to-understand summary of their child's performance on the state ELA exam, along with how that performance compares to both school, district, and state averages. This slide highlights the results from the New York State Grade 3 reading assessment of the graduating class of 2035. To be clear, this data reflects the performance of last year's 3rd graders who are now our current 4th graders. And the results are extremely encouraging. Out of 79 students, 68 students scored at or above proficiency, which means 86% of this cohort met or exceeded the state's expectations in reading. What this tells us is the majority of our students are reading on grade level. Many are performing above grade level. This shows a strong foundation in phonics, comprehension, vocabulary, and writing that begins in kindergarten through grade 2 and carries through grade 3. And this also demonstrates the efforts of our teachers, interventionists, service providers, and families at home. This is incredibly strong data for the class of 2035, and it gives us great confidence as they continue into the upper elementary grades. Overall, this is a celebration. A celebration of our students and of high quality instruction and of a community that values literacy and learning. This slide shows the New York State reading assessment results for the class of 2034. To clarify, this data reflects the performance of last year's 4th grade students who are now our current 5th graders. And this is a cohort we should be incredibly proud of. In 2024, when this cohort was in grade 4, 52 out of 81 students scored at or above proficiency. That represents 64% of students meeting or exceeding the state standards in reading. In 2025, 1 year later, 63 out of 86 students scored at or above proficiency. That is 73% of the cohort meeting or exceeding proficiency. This reflects 9% growth in reading proficiency in the class of 2034. Our students are becoming stronger readers and writers over time, not just maintaining where they started. This shows strong foundational literacy, vocabulary development, writing, and comprehension instruction. It also reflects the efforts of interventionists, ENL teachers, special education teachers and staff, and the ongoing partnerships with families. This improvement is not accidental, it's intentional. We use New York State testing data, I-ready benchmarks, and classroom assessments to inform instruction, adjust small groups, and target student needs within each cohort. Grade level teams meet to analyze data together with administration. We meet to identify trends and make decisions about interventions, enrichment, and curriculum pacing. We don't just collect data, we act on it. And that is a major reason why this cohort continues to show growth year after year. And again, while New York State testing begins in grade 3, this success starts much earlier in kindergarten, grade 1, and grade 2, where students build a foundation of literacy. This slide highlights the New York State testing assessment for reading results for the class of 2033. To clarify, the data you're seeing represents the performance of last year's 5th graders who are now our current 6th grade cohort. In 2024, when this cohort was in grade 4, 45 out of 74 students scored at or above proficiency. That represents 61% of the cohort meeting or exceeding state expectations in reading. In 2025, 1 year later, 56 out of 74 students scored at or above proficiency. That is 76% of students meeting or exceeding proficiency. This is a 15% increase in proficiency for the class of 2033. That is tremendous growth. This cohort is particularly significant because they are the first group of students in Tuckahoe to receive foundations instruction starting in kindergarten. These students began foundations in kindergarten and continued with structured literacy instruction into grades 1 and 2, despite their early years were also interrupted by the pandemic. So, to see this level of proficiency and growth, even with COVID interruptions, is truly a testament to the resilience of our students and the dedication of our teachers. When you combine foundations, plus integrity, plus high-quality literacy instruction, plus targeted intervention, plus enrichment, the result is exactly what we see here. Students performing at higher levels and showing measurable year-over-year growth. This slide shows how our district students in grades 3 through 5 performed on the New York State Reading ELA assessment compared to other school districts across the lower Hudson Valley. You'll see that Tuckahoe, highlighted in green, with an average of 78.3% of students in grades 3 through 5 scoring levels 3 or 4, meaning they were meeting or exceeding proficiency expectation. What makes this especially impressive is that this number represents a 19% increase from last year's grade 3 through 5 average reading proficiency. kind of growth is exceptional. The 19% jump in proficiency is a direct result of high-quality, consistent reading instruction across K through 5, structured literacy programs like Foundations in Hegarty, and data-driven instruction. These results also speak to the success of our Universal Design for Learning philosophy, which we rolled out last school year. By designing lessons that offer multiple ways for students to engage, access content, and demonstrate understanding, we are seeing more students thrive. In summary, Tuckahoe's grade 3 through 5 average ELA proficiency is 78.3%, up 19 percentage points from last school year, and among the strongest in the region. This is something we should be incredibly proud of. This slide tells an impactful story. It shows us how much growth our students made in kindergarten through grade 5 in reading last school year based on our iReady benchmark assessment. And what this slide tells us is that our students made wonderful gains. In the fall of 2024, that was last year's starting point. 46% of students in grades K through 5 were meeting or exceeding grade level expectations in reading. Another 46% were ready to access the grade level material. Again, that means that on the fall bottom faded line, the students represented in yellow, and that 46% are actually on grade level, ready to access their grade level curriculum. 9% of students were 2 or more grade levels below, requiring targeted intervention. Spring 2025, last school year's end of year results, 83% of students in grades K through 5 were meeting or exceeding grade level expectations. 13% are still approaching grade level readiness, and 4% were 2 or more grade levels below. This reflects that over 4 out of 5 students were reading on or above grade level at the end of last school year. This kind of progress reflects significant academic growth in one school year. Students moved up multiple performance levels, strong Tier 1 reading instruction in every classroom, our consistent use of data meetings, win time, small group instruction, AIS and RTI supports, E&L supports, enrichment, and special education supports. And most importantly, hard work by students, teachers, support staff, and families. This slide represents our beginning of year iReady reading benchmark data for grades K through 5 taken this fall 2025. This fall, 45% of students are already meeting or exceeding grade level expectations at the very beginning of the school year. An additional 42% of students are considered ready to access grade level curriculum. Within that 42% of students, 21% are students that receive AIS RTI supports or support through special education. 12% of students are performing 2 or more grade levels below. Of this group, 89% of students are receiving AIS RTI support or support through special education. Again, this is not the end, it is the starting line. We know from previous years data that our students, from the previous year's data, that students make substantial growth between fall and spring, and we expect the same upward trend this year. Teachers are already using this data to form small groups, target instruction, and plan WIN enrichment and AIS RTI supports right from the start of the school year. This data tells us our literacy foundation is strong, our interventions are targeted, and our students are ready to grow. And as we've seen in years past, this fall baseline will become a spring celebration. As we look at this 25-26 school year, we'd like to highlight the key areas we continue to build upon to support student growth and instructional excellence. A strong system of reading and academic interventions remain in place. Both the continued supports and new initiatives introduced this year, that work will remain a cornerstone of how we meet students where they are and move them forward. All faculty members reviewed New York State testing data and are providing feedback regarding adjustments, additions, or innovations we may want to implement. That feedback has been collected and is crucial to guiding our planning and decision-making this year. Data meetings will continue at every grade level and in collaboration with common administration. Following the winter iReady benchmark assessments, we will hold extended individualized meetings with classroom teachers, interventionists, and literacy specialists, and will analyze every student's trajectory and determine how best to support and challenge each child moving forward. We will maintain our robust MTSS, or multi-tiered systems of supports process, and our ongoing IST, or instructional support team meetings. These structures ensure that no student falls through the cracks. Our IST meetings bring together teachers, administrators, interventionists, and specialists to collaboratively problem solve, develop intervention plans, and monitor student progress over time. As a district, we are beginning a partnership with Atlas to organize and map our K-12 curriculum across all content areas to ensure strong vertical and horizontal alignment and alignment to state standards. The initial phase of this important work will kick off at the November Superintendent's Conference then. Magic School AI will serve as an instructional tool to support teachers with planning, curriculum alignment, and in our curriculum mapping work. It's an efficient way to support teacher creativity while increasing productivity. Deepen work in universal design for learning, building on the strong foundation laid this year. A new consultant will be working with our teachers during extended days and within the school day to support Tier 1 instruction with a particular emphasis on literacy through a UDL lens. We will prioritize enrichment at every grade level and in every content area through UDL, win time, and differentiated instruction. Challenge our students beyond proficiency, and we are committed to expanding that work even further. Our K-2 reading program, Reading Wonders, is in the final year of its contract. In conjunction with Foundations and Haggerty, it has served as the foundation of our early literacy work. We have begun researching high-quality programs to adopt beginning next school year, potentially extending a reading program from kindergarten through 5th grade. We're looking for a program that will work in conjunction with Foundations and Haggerty, aligns with our existing novel studies, and cross-curricular reading models, and the writing revolution. This is critically important work, and as we research and pilot programs throughout the year, of course, we will keep the community updated. That concludes our presentation, and we hope we have provided you with helpful information about the programs and progress taking place at Cottle School. We are proud of the progress our students are making and grateful for your continued support as we work to ensure that Cottle remains a place where every child feels valued, challenged, and inspired. Thank you.
A lot of work went into it, and you guys are doing a lot of good stuff over at Tuckahoe. We're going to open it up to board comments. You guys did a great job presenting.
Just real quickly, so my daughter was as part of that class who was in kindergarten during COVID. So seeing those numbers, that was 15%. So, commend you guys for all you do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. I mean,
I would be honest.
yeah, no problem. I have no problem being honest. We have tremendous readers reports. They are impressive numbers, and if the board would like to bring on another reading specialist, that sounds lovely. But I'll say this, just right now, right off the bat, Connie Fady has made a tremendous impact. I need her expertise. Already, it's almost the end of October, so almost 2 months in, we've seen the impact that she has made on our students that are learning to read. And that push-in time, which might have an expiration date depending on her case growing, but the time that she has to push into kindergarten classrooms right now is extremely valuable. So we had a meeting, the interventionist, myself, Mr. Kilgallen, and Ms. Fady, and we met to discuss, how would we want to, because like I said before, coming into the school year, we already have a large number of students that have been predetermined to have reading supports of Tier 2 or Tier 3. So looking at the caseloads, looking at the students that needed comp work, and the number of students that needed decoding, encoding support, things like that, and then of course you have another group that need math support. So all the two interventionists provide all the math supports, and right now they're focusing more so on the comp work that needs to be done through the Living Bell, and other interventions in Tier 2, Tier 3, and the upper grades. And Ms. Fady is focusing on those younger grades, also because with that caseload right now, it gave her that ability to push into those K loads once a week.
I guess the two folks in the upper, they were not certified.
So they are fantastic at what they do. They are certified in Wilson. Of course, they are level 1 certified in Wilson. The district took care of that about 2 or 3 years ago. They did that for our 2 interventionists at the time, as well as a number of other special education teachers, like most of the special education teachers that we trained, like most of the special education teachers in ICT. Do the 2 interventionists, are they certified literacy specialists? Yeah, I know. Right? So they don't have that level of certification, but they absolutely 100% provide a very valuable service to all K-5 students. And I really hope that one day, we can have our interventionists come and speak, because I think you'd be truly impressed at what their depth of knowledge and how they help our students. I would leave that up to the data and the superintendent.
There's still 27. I know there's 70 groups. I look at the opposite. It's 27. It's 27% students in the right? So in fourth grade. In fourth grade, they were. I'm still bringing it over 36%. Bring that down. I'm not really following. We're not which one. So 36% of the kids, I don't look at the system, I look at the data. 36% of our kids were there. That's it. I know we're talking about 27%. So to me, it's like the upper classes need their own.
I think it's also important, I'm sorry, Mr. Kilgallen, to notice the 2 bar graphs. You're looking at the trend. What you see on the left compared to what you see on the right is a significant decrease in level 1 and level 2, and an increase in level 3 and level 4. 1s went to 2s, 2s went to 3s, 3s went to 4, or perhaps 2s went to 4s, 1s went to 3s. So I think that's what you're seeing, and I think that's very important to emphasize, as this was before our literacy specialist, who is absolutely amazing, and we are thrilled to have her. But what you see here is the direct result of what we had last year and the years prior to that, which would include our 2 interventionists.
Right. But he mentions to me, it's a lot of great stuff. She's agree opinion. Think we need that? I think that could be a great ongoing discussion. What's the difference between you're ready so that you know?
Right, ready access. Right. That was a question on that. So during ready access,
So that would be you're not ready, but you're going to access it anyway, or is it you're not like this one?
Yeah, that's why I tried to clarify that. So again, I'll restate what I said during the presentation. When you look at the faded line, so again, the bottom line is fall 2024, the top line is spring 2025. In the fall 2024, that, and I can't see it right now, 46% of students in yellow are ready to access their grade level curriculum. Now, this is the whole building from last school year. So the 46% of kindergarten through 5th graders in that yellow line in the fall of 2024 are ready to start their new grade level.
So I guess things are a little deceptive or a little bit confusing to me.
Deceptive is one thing, confusing is another, I have to say. You mean confusing?
Yes,
Okay.
confusing, yes. Well, first of all, it does say on the key that yellow is one grade level below. That's what the key says.
Well, so when it says one grade level below, it's because it's normed against the end of year standard, meeting those end of year standards. So technically, a first grader or a second grader, any grade level, that is taking this in the fall, if I'm a first grader taking this in the fall, I am ready, I'm in the yellow, because I am being normed against what I should know at the end of first grade. So you're one grade level below. Now, I put that in there, and I did change that wording on a different slide, and I put it in there and kept it on one because it says it in the graph as well. So,
okay, so I get that. So thank you for the clarification. And clarification was a better word.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But it was confusing me during the presentation.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked. Thank you.
So I guess what you're saying is that if you're in the grade, if you're in the yellow, you are essentially on pace to be at grade level at the end of the grade.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Vighetti, honestly, I'll say it one more time. As many times as you need me to say it, actually, I'll say it. The 46% of students in the fall of 2024 are one grade level below as it states, because that is being normed against what they will know or should know at the end of that grade level.
If you're a 4th grade reader, by the end of the school year, you're reading at 4th grade level. But if you're in that yellow, then you're
Correct. And what
to be there.
Correct. And what it also means is that 24% of the students that took it in the fall are actually already meeting most of those grade level expectations, and 22% are exceeding the grade level expectations. So I'm a first grader, and I'm in that 22%. I've already mastered the content. Yeah. So now we need to meet that 22%.
Yeah. So maybe a better way to say it is on pace. I mean,
okay.
No,
thank you.
Because when you said the green says at or above grade level,
yeah.
That sort of makes you think that's what you said here. And the yellow, saying red access is a little bit confusing, but you clarified it. So
I appreciate your question.
And it makes sense to me now what you're saying. Yes, you need to be at a 4th grade reading level, or you want to be at a 4th grade level by the end of the year.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
You want your yellows to go green, you love your greens to go checkered green, and you love your checkered reds to go red or yellow, and so that's what we look at.
The grade 5 New York State testing, class of 2033, this is how you would see it going from year to year, as opposed to starting at the beginning of the year and where you end up at the end of the year. Right?
So that is comparing, and I think I have it on the screen there, because that's what I'm referencing. I think that's the data you're referencing. So this is similar to the iReady, but it's comparing the cohort from the New York State test from the spring of 2024, when this group was in 5th grade, and 2024 when they were in 4th, and 2025 when they were in 5th. They are the current 6th graders right now. This actually, and I'm glad you had mentioned this slide, Mr. Champanek, because this also shows what you want to see. You want to see from the left bar graph to the right bar graph, level 1s and level 2s go down, level 3s and level 4s go up. But when you just look at the right side bar graph, you do see the level 4s have gone down. Now, that is a data point that is not ignored. We drill down on that and we see which students did that impact, who fell into that group of students that went from 4 to 3, most likely, and what areas might we need to focus on within for those students within that cohort. Well, now they're in 6th grade, but that would be the idea, is to see, what happened there. And again, what I wanted to mention, but if I kept mentioning all the data through this presentation that we actually drilled down into, it would have been 49 slides, it would have been 109 slides. But it's very important that we continue to focus on all students. If there's a group of students that went from 4 to 3, what happened there? And when I say we analyze data, we drill down on not just entire grade level data and trends. We look at the grade level, the classes, all the way down to each individual student, which is why I stressed during the presentation that after the winter I-Ready benchmark, we did sit down, we did it last year for the first time, and it was obviously very beneficial. Mr. Kilgallen, Dr. Keogh, and myself sat down with each individual teacher, and this year we'll be including the interventionists and reading specialists to drill down on each individual student based on their middle of the year assessment in I-Ready, and we look at classroom data and what is their trajectory in January, February, and what do we need to do? Do we need to make any adjustments, whether that's continued interventions or starting of intervention or challenging them further, which brings me back to that one.
The third grade level last year, conflict was writing. What are we doing now to keep the writing for the conflict? Because
So reading and writing go hand in hand, Mr. Begay. So all reading assessments have a written response. Most reading assessments have a written response applied to them. So writing is assessed through reading assessments, extended responses, short responses, are worked through the writing resolution. This is still the K-12 writing curriculum. So that's how writing is assessed, and that's how it goes in tandem with reading. And on the parent report, I believe the second domain in reading on the right page of the parent report is writing from sources. So you're storing their written responses.
Can we just want to switch back to math for 1 second, John? So first of all, I just want to say before I get into more comments, the trends are all good.
Thank you very much.
What's very good about everything you showed, everything's trending upwards. So that's excellent. So I can thank you for that. On the math side of it, clearly the grade 5s, last year's grade 5 math scores were lower than the state scores, were lower than the 3rd and 4th graders. You mentioned that was the class most affected by the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, well, first of all, are we sure that's the reason why? And I guess this is kind of an assumption, but
I'm also not trying to explain away data. I do think it's an important factor that impacted that cohort of students in reading and math. But for me, the important thing is that 2% growth in math and that 15% growth in reading. It's not about comparing one grade level to the next. It's about looking at the growth within a cohort.
I agree with that. I don't very well going with this case.
No, absolutely.
I agree with what you're saying. But obviously, that grade was impacted more by the pandemic, and now they're in middle school. So, is there anything being done? And obviously, you're not in the middle school to have this. I would imagine you communicate.
Sure.
And the middle school administration aware of the fact that this grade may be a little bit behind. I mean, it's not awful with 78%, so I'm saying it's not. So, what are we doing to sort of close the gap, essentially, or what can we do?
Basically, when our 5th graders graduate and move over to the middle school, we provide them with a very detailed report on kind of students that were on our radar going up to the middle school. We handed them off, basically, these are the kids that we had our eye on, and keep them on them as they start in middle school. Yeah. Okay. So there is like committees as well. Yeah. And to use one place meetings at the end of the year where on the middle school staff will meet with grade staff and we'll discuss potential students that come into middle school.
Yeah, there's full vertical articulation, essentially, and our interventionists essentially will report of our final instructional support to the meeting of what our recommendations would be for students that were receiving RTI or AS support. Yeah. We communicate that to those students, saying, if they're staying with us, this is what we would have recommended. But then again, I don't want to speak to where they picked up.
Right. No, I just hope that that's being picked up, because obviously once kids, it's not their fault, but they kind of experience that situation, and
but the great
clearly
thing
had
is,
an impact, because it's lower than, so I just hope we're collectively as a district, we're acknowledging that and we're addressing it.
absolutely, and again, I do want to reiterate, at Cotton, even with that cohort that was heavily impacted, they still were able to receive foundations. Now, that foundation rollout was in that first year when we were all social distancing, some of it was being done, virtually, but I really commend our teachers and our students on forging through that, and really each year, like I said, the goal is to drill down and really analyze where is each individual student. Some things, like a global pandemic, will impact an entire grade level more so, but we still work to meet each student where they're at, which is why universal design for learning philosophy was tremendous in my opinion. That's why I'm very excited to continue that work. Pilot last year and today this year. We're calling today this year year 2 of the pilot. I'm still trying to really gather feedback from teachers about it's more so vocabulary in isolation, which I think has value, but we just want to really look at that program a little bit.
So I have a couple of questions. With that cohort with math, I was going to bring that up too, because it is still, it's concerning that even in the 2 years that we had them, that we couldn't bring them further along. They've made great progress, but there's still kids behind. And now that they're in middle school, very quickly, they're going to be hit with very difficult math that's going to really impact their future. So, my question's actually for you, because they are done those students, and now we're moving on to middle school, high school, but what are we going to do to support that cohort and get them up to speed? We can't just continue to let them be so far behind based on something that happened, 5 years ago or years ago. We've got to do something to get those kids up to speed. So that, I don't actually necessarily have an answer right now, but that is something that we've got to work on with our middle school, high school curriculum throughout the rest of their education to get together.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And thank you for all this information and the data, and looking at the 5th grade in particular. I think many times when we go to year analysis, there's a lot of things that change in the New York State test. So it's always important to use the multiple fields of data. So the iReady coupled with the New York State assessment, coupled with the classroom grades and observations of teachers, to really get a holistic piece of where students are performing. Because again, the New York State assessments are a 1-2 day snapshot. Students get a bad day, they're going to do a good day. Generally, it's going to show the temperature gauge that if they weren't prepared to be successful, then they're going to perform at a completely different level. But holistically, I think when we look at where we want to see our students grow, and then the shift, and kind of pointing out the progression of students that are achieving at a level 2, that maybe 2 or 3. We also have to look specifically at the cut scores each and every year. So sometimes that number changes for New York State. A student may have achieved a full year's growth. But again, that line, the goalpost change a little bit between 3 and 4. And then some students that got a full year's growth, but they regressed from where the 4 line was to the 3 line was, but they still grow. So the really specific data, and ensuring that every student's making at least a year's growth, and that students that are coming from a place of deficit and have to achieve more, we want them to make sure that they're closing the gap and getting 1.2 years of growth. So to your point about the middle school, that's a conversation myself with the high school administration and the middle school administration about what are our academic supports and how do we respond through RTI or MTSS system, looking at the data specifically, and how do we kind of provide that AAS in the middle school structure. So still going through that process now, but I'm definitely going to be working closer with Mr. Fiore and Mr. Connor and Bellis to really see what that looks like at the middle school. How are we responding to student needs? Different courses that we have for students that do need the extra help in terms of an ARS defined course, and also making sure that we're accessing all of the extra help that we have assigned for students that need the extra help with our teachers each and every week. So that is the continuation piece, and I think that's an evaluation that we need to really look and say is, do we have the rigorous support infrastructure at the middle school level to make sure that students can continue on the upward trend, and to of course that they are ready to access high school level courses and be successful at the higher level courses, and they've got the prerequisite skills. So that's what can be determined for me. I've got to yet to get into the middle school dynamic of those interventions. A lot of time has been actually at college, seeing what the programs are and doing learning walks there. I'm really excited to really go into that to make sure that we do have a good response, so that students are being taken care of and that the remediation continues and it's built into their schedules from an AIS standpoint.
So officially know for now is the total of their plus one. That's right. 80% it's great to know this. It's great to for efficiency for grades 3 through 5 for the first grade or second grade, what as administrative community as a board can get us understanding?
Well, again,
Programs. It's also, that number also reflects a tremendous also.
19.
So, it's cool. I don't, we all want to go up.
Where we were was
90%.
it came up high. I get it.
I think
That's when you get a 19% jump. You're going to be happy as a coach. So, the trend is our friend. You can go to slide 11.
Oh. Okay.
So, Scott, here's my one next is basically under John's leadership. This is all of the programs and this trend, just like for us, the trend is still going to continue moving forward. Under John's leadership, we've got a building behind you. IST, data analysis, science-based, programs. Under John's leadership, what you're seeing tonight is basically a piece of all the teachers' hard work of John's leadership. And once again, that trend is going to continue as we continue to bring in possible program, always looking to raise the bar. That's been John's. That's been John's rally cry since he's taking over at Cottle, and we'll be able to continue to do that year.
Appreciate that, Pete. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm going to
piggyback off this. First of all, I do want to mention that your improvement is significant. And so it does show, because one of my original questions was, the point of these workshops and all of your presentations to us as a board is really are the things that we agreed to in the budget in place working? Right? So that was like my main question is all the things that we are spending the money on, are they working for our students and are they worth continuing, and what else do you need? So one situation that I'm concerned about is now we have so many different things. We've got Lindenwood, we've got Warranty Wise, we've got Haggerty, we've got Wilson, we've got PAF, we've got all of this stuff. And I'm just wondering how, with so many different programs, the administration can manage all the data to see really what's effective. Is this all effective? Is it feasible to continue all these programs, not just cost-wise, but within the building and within teaching? And what else what do you need? Like I said, what do you need to close that gap? Because we do still have a significant, the growth is great, but we do still have a significant amount of kids that do need help. We need to improve.
Go ahead.
There's all different programs and resources. So it's like a teacher's tool kit is where they can go and pull anything they need. We're looking at actually getting a software that takes all of the data and all the information we have and house it in one location so teachers can access it easier instead of having to go to multiple sites to pull the data. We're looking at getting a software that pulls it all to one spot, like one-stop shopping. But these are also programs that the teachers find extremely valuable and utilize daily for lesson planning, their instruction, assessments, ongoing conversations with teachers on how to this actually helps them when we get feedback from teachers. The one thing that we did talk about is there's information everywhere. How can we centralize it? And that's something that we're working with superintendent on, is looking at different programs that can take all the information and bring it to one spot so that teachers have all of it right in front of them instead of having to pull from different sites. But we want to provide as many tools as possible for the teachers to use.
To expound on, I'm sorry. To expound on that, Foundations Integrity have made a tremendous impact. Teachers love those programs. I met with a community member with Mr. Tuckahoe and Dr. Q last year who brought up his reading roadmap. And I was very happy to report out that we had basically a comparable program, exact program in Foundations. These are programs that, and with Foundations, I credit the kindergarten team. In my first year at Connell, we had lengthy conversations about the need to bring in Foundations, and even with the pandemic, we brought it in, and it's still here, and it is extremely impactful. Our restructured RTI MTS process with IST meetings and data meetings, extremely helpful, should not faint. The housing of one place to have data would be tremendously beneficial, and I thank Mr. Roberts for bringing that immediately to the table. I think LinkedIn was one program that we're going to be looking at to do that because it would be much easier to access the data in one location. So that will be great, and that will help us to manage the data. Right now, we are managing the data. We utilize response to intervention management system, which is part of Frontline. That's where we house all of our data right now, but it is all individually input by teachers, interventionists, reading specialists, school psychologists, myself, and Mr. Kilgan. So right now, that's sort of our digital filing cabinet, but something like Mr. Roberts is proposing would be tremendous. As far as what we need right now, well, right now we have our new literacy specialist, and we're investigating a new reading program. That's going to be, our literacy specialist has been tremendous, already made a great impact. The next big change at Connell is going to be a reading program. Perhaps we'll continue with, I'm not sure if it's called Reading Wonders 2.0, but whatever the next version of Reading Wonders is, if it's aligned with science of reading, that might be it. We're also looking at other programs. But I think that's going to be the next big transition for us. And I'm deciding whether or not we're going to keep that at K2 or expand it to K3, K5, or beyond. I don't know. But that's where a lot of our work is going to be focused this year, in addition to maintaining all these wonderful programs that we've brought in. So I wouldn't, outside of Reading Wonders, which contract is expiring, everything that you see up there that we've rolled out over the last 6-7 years is staying because it's working. Because the data shows it's impacting our students and they're growing academically or socially, emotionally.
So we have situations where, with so many different programs, that there's any sort of problem with consistency being taught year to year. Like, you have, student A and students being, their teacher is having using one of the lessons that we have, but then they go on second grade and the way that the tools that the interventionist is using
Sure.
and the intervention is switching from year to year
Yeah.
that then the child can't process.
Sure. So any intervention, whether it's at tier 1 or 2 or tier 3, the intervention might change if the intervention is proving to not be impactful or targeting the right skill, right? So that's one thing that could certainly adjust an intervention. The other part, I would say no. There's a smooth transition year over year, or even if it's mid-year from one interventionist to another. They all are trained in that same intervention. Or if a student is receiving an intervention, like Wilson, for example, and is successful with that intervention, but for some reason we might need to change the interventionist, which of course we try to avoid at all costs. That next interventionist will pick up right where the other interventionist left off, especially if the intervention is being impactful, because anything other than that, we risk setting the student back. So,
Everybody knows how to use it.
absolutely.
So just to build on that, because it's a very good point. So for example, just to understand this, so if student in third grade that's still in Wilson, what happens to them in fourth grade? If it's working, we continue to use it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And is there a preferred tool in the toolbox for ALS, or is it, once again, whatever works for that
Yeah.
particular student?
Pretty much.
Because now we don't match up the tool for ALS versus some other interventions. Whatever.
No,
whatever works.
we have a number of interventions for math and for reading. Trainings have been completed. Some are more focused towards phonemic awareness. Some are more focused towards comprehension. But so the intervention is determined based on the student need and the gap in the foundational skill.
So, for example, like who's using Wilson versus PA?
Okay, so currently, off the top of my head, there
I
are.
mean, one thing, like
No, I'm not going to give you names. No. There is a small group of students in K to 2 that are currently using PAF. There are also a group of students that are using Wilson. One student might respond better to one program versus another, and the delivery within the program. So we haven't had PAF as an intervention for some time. We did bring it back with Connie Beatty. We also do still have special education teachers and other teachers that are trained in PAF. But part of the district movement maybe 4 or 5 years ago was to move tier 3 intervention to all Wilson. We have proven that we should not continue that practice, so that's why we have brought back PAF, and Connie Beatty's been trained in it. And there are other students at Kyle. So, teachers at Kyle, I do want to go back and just say that, if we were to bring on another literacy specialist or a teacher or educator that has literacy specialist certification, that sounds great. I mean, if we were to do that, fine. But I would not want to do that for some reason that it would be assumed or inferred that our interventionists are not qualified to treat the students that need reading support in any grade at college. That needs to be very clear. Our teachers and Ms. Frusciante and Ms. Lavista are incredible at what they do. And I think any parent who had a student that they taught in intervention, or any student who had them, any member of IST, could absolutely 100% agree with that. So if we were to bring on a new literacy specialist, I would not want it to be because there's some innuendo or understanding that the interventionist could not meet the need. If anything, it is far from that. I think the way it was and has been brought up in the past, I would say that the intention is to make it seem as though the interventionist cannot provide that level of support. I want to make it clear that that is far from accurate.
I can just jump into kind of echo because I think the biggest thing for me is always, are we providing the right type of high quality targeted instruction? And I think then that's even to speak to the Hannah's question of we have so many offerings in the toolbox kit, are we making sure we use the right ones? I think a lot of what we're using core instruction is not going to everyone's getting to tier 1, and when students don't respond to that, now which type of resource is going to really meet their needs? So some students may need a Wilson approach because they're not picking up certain cues, or their learning style may adapt better to that, or more willing in approach. So I think that's where the practitioners then applying the type of research-based program and then making sure that it's done with fidelity. To your point also about, how a literacy specialist, a person with a reading degree, definitely comes in with a lot of literacy training, but we also have really good practitioners who are trained in providing a resource, whether it's Wilson or Dillingham, different interventions, literacy package that's skill-based and targeted, and can effectively carry that out with fidelity. You can progress monitor students, and can do the same type of high-quality work that a reading specialist may be able to do. For me, when we're looking at student growth, it's really what are we teaching and how are we teaching students, not the who is teaching them. As long as, again, as we observe them, it's best practices, they're getting the right program, and the students are growing. Because that's for providing instruction, and students aren't responding well to it, then we have to take a different approach. We have to find a different way to access their learning and look at a different way to maximize that they are growing. Measuring their skills, right? So whether it's comprehension, vocabulary, phonemic awareness, phonics, what are students their deficits in, and then target those deficits in that area.
That's why it's important, to your point, Mr. Roberts, to continue to expand tools in every teacher's toolbox. Interventionists, literacy specialists, classroom teachers, special education teachers, everyone. And again, we've done that, as you can see on the board that Mr. Kilgallen referenced earlier. And the next big step is that reading program.
I think the other piece when we look at the success, and I think that's, we have to really focus in on the growth that we have in so many areas for math and reading, and how do we continue that it's sustainable, right? We want to make sure we look at what the first grade achieved, fourth grade, fifth grade. To me, when I see the data increase on all 3 grade levels, I see that we have good systems and structures in place. I see that it's started that upward trend. It's not just a one-year anomaly where you have a phenomenal cohort of students. The research-based instruction that we're putting in is being, students are responding to it year after year, grade after grade. Coupled with, does it also match our ready data? Does it also match other assessments that we have? So that's where I see our trends of going upwards of that 78%, when we get to 80% consistently. Now it's 82, 3, 4, 5. Now it's targeting also different sound use student space. So the SEL presentation that was presented as well, which of our students aren't performing because they're chronically absent? They've missed 18 days of instruction. So how do we make sure that we get them here so that they have access to the instruction on a regular basis? Which one of our students may have other circumstances of our subgroups? We're looking at students, I think the last board meeting, Mr. Cassie talked about economically disadvantaged students at our high school level, and really accessing education and opportunities, right? Some students don't have the same opportunities that, whether it's after school tutoring, whether it's outdoor resources, how do we can provide additional programs that support their learning? So I think that targeting into students who are at the cusp and then really coming up with those interventions on top of other resources is how we're going to get to that higher level more consistently. And it feeds each area feeds itself. So the math assessments are really predicated on reading instruction. There's as much a reading comprehension test or a problem solving test as it is about computation of math. So, those are all different pieces. And I wanted to stress back also, I said this at a parent meeting that we were at Tuckahoe with, we're not just a testing school, right? So we're focusing on the whole child, the happy kids that come in and learners, when they're engaged in higher level thinking and they're excited about learning and not about the projects, they're going to apply that to all levels of thinking. Right? So that's what we want to see, that then they're going to be able to demonstrate their learning and their success on all different kinds of areas.
And Ms. Holland, we're never going to settle. We always want to continue to improve. We always want to, if necessary, bring in more programs, reading program, again, being the next most important. We always want to continue to strive and grow and do better, and every year, every day, meet each student where they need to be met. But we also do want to take the time to celebrate the growth and the incredible hard work of our teachers at Tuckahoe. I cannot stress it enough. The dedication, the professionalism, the collaboration before school, during school, and after school, the caring for the Tuckahoe Cubs, the preparation day in and day out is extraordinary. I don't think there's a lot of schools or districts that could manage this type of change year over year, bringing in a program and do it with fidelity and precision, that what they bring each and every day is incredible. And I'm honored to work alongside them, and of course the incredible leadership with Mr. Kilgallen. We co-lead that ship of Kano, we co-principal, and so I just want to stress that we always want to get better, but we do need to take the time to celebrate the growth and of each and every student.
Absolutely. I mean, I did say that.
You did. No, yeah, I'm just reiterating.
The growth
Yeah.
is very good. And also, I also was going to mention the executive function
Yep.
class by Ms. Wiggins. I mean, really, kudos to her. Executive function is such a huge issue for everybody, including most of us adults.
I've actually had colleagues. Who were jealous of our executive functioning course. It's kind of nice. She's really done an incredible job.
Yeah. You know, so and clearly the things that the students are seeing in the video are, as I said, you guys did a great job presenting. You could tell there's a lot of work went into it. It's just, you know, and I don't mean for us to sound like we are honing in on the 20 kids who are not progressing and not recognizing the significant checks that you guys have made. It's more, again, you know, are the things that we provided as a board through the budget working for the school? Is there anything else we need to be doing better? And again, my concern is we have so much. How do we streamline it, and how do we make sure that our children? I mean, when you mentioned that you try not to switch interventions, that's important to me because I think that continuity is important for a student. When you mentioned that, you know, if you see something is working, you continue it. If something is not, so it's not, they are not negative comments. They're just really making sure that as a board we are providing you with what you need to get that little bit that does still need significant help, what they need in order to be successful.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, that being the overall message, greatly appreciate. I do think that there might be times where perhaps that message is. It's nice to hear you say that, and again, I just want to stress that what we do at Cottle is tremendous. All the programs are working, and we do appreciate the board's continued support.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
I like the hiring already dated more than this year.
Yeah.
So you could, because it's, you know, like the snapshot.
Yeah.
I mean, this is more continuous throughout the year. It includes everybody. So I like this data better. I understand why you did it the way how you displayed it K through 5. Because during presentation you don't want to deep some of the words. But could you send us a breakdown per grade of what you're doing?
Yes.
See it by grade.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. I would have done grade by grade, but it would have been a little bit longer.
I'd like to see if there's any sort of trend from grade to grade. I appreciate that. And then a point of order for us, and you guys in the audience can second this. I don't know what the solution is, but this screen is too small. For the 4 people that are coming in, they're almost penalized for coming. If they stay home, they can see it on TV better than they can see it here. I don't know what we can do, but I don't know if there's a way we can bring this monitor closer to the crowd, but we had the benefit of having this. We saw the presentation before, but I don't know what the answer is. But we have to find a better way to make this presentation work.
You're absolutely correct. We'll make sure the audience has a QR code they can zoom in on their device, and then they can have that as well. In addition to things are bigger screen, we can look at that as an option. I think, you know, as we go forward. I think the bigger piece we want to make sure, and I think that's, you know, for administrators as well, is are we reaching every student to their fullest capacity? It's not just about a destination of 1, 2, 3, 4. It's also students who are scoring for, are they getting as high as they can? Are we challenging them? Are we enriching them? The different opportunities that we can continue to push students, and that's our priority, is bring the students to their fullest potential. And I think that's where the data going into specifically the student who scored a level 1 on a state test, but maybe they made great growth in their individual goals. Like those are things we have to also celebrate. My own child, my youngest, was one that was never going to reach a level 4, but year-to-year growth and making sure that he was meeting his goals was very important. You know,
educating the whole child. And academically, you know, the growth from a level 1 to level 2 is growth. A 3 to a 4 is growth. A low 2 to a high 2 is growth. That's why we look at each individual student very closely. And we want to continue to, as expeditiously as possible, help each student grow as faster and challenge each student where they're at. And we will continue to do that.
I can also say one more thing about the sort of tone and or maybe the perception.
Mm-hmm.
I think we look at this as we're one team.
Thank you.
I think it's our job as a team to challenge ourselves.
Sure.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yes, you're right. We definitely should acknowledge and celebrate the success and those big success, and we're definitely in the right direction. But I think maybe sometimes some of the questions we ask maybe is perceived as criticism. But really, I think what we're trying to do is challenge ourselves collectively as a team and try and keep raising the bar as much as we can. So
I can understand that.
Now at this point, we just want to make sure we're getting everything we need. We want to drill down on what is needed.
Right.
So I think it's more of like, hey, this is the workshop collectively. What can we do to be better? That's really the message we're trying to say.
And I appreciate that very much, Mr. Casson. I do. And I really, truly appreciate the support of this board in its entirety. I do feel that it is my responsibility that if there is some sort of a mistakable, possibly, implication that any particular teacher, department, whatever it might be, is not meeting their expectations or getting the job done, I do feel it's my responsibility to clarify that, even if it is a mistake on one side or the other. But I really appreciate you saying that, and again, working together with the Board of Education each and every year since the year I've been here has been an honor. It really has, because we have done amazing work.
Any high-performing organization will tell you momentum is the most important thing, and you have momentum.
We have momentum.
So we're moving in the right direction.
Yes.
That's the positive thing. You should get.
And I continue your support in that.
So,
Appreciate your support.
so do you have anything?
Well prepared on these please. I like the numbers. I'm happy that my board members here have all the questions. And like I said, I've learned a lot from this evening. Appreciate you both.
Thank you, Mr. Abrams. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is the executive function skills curriculum, is that brand new?
Yeah, brand new this year.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how that's going to help the schools too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It's going to be tremendous for growth.
Yeah, the executive function should help organizational skills tremendously.
So honestly, I don't think I learned time management.
Would have benefited me as a student, because I was not the student that you guys are in the process of nurturing, as I would say, because once working up here and seeing the product that you send out, and now they're adults, this past Saturday at the game, there was some students who came back that I hadn't seen for years, and but it's just remarkable what we do here at Tuckahoe. It was just great. Just great news. Thank you, everybody. Mr. Godell, Mr. Morash, my board members, Mr. Roberts. I'm constantly learning, and it's so far been great. I'm just looking forward to the rest of this year.
Thank you, Mr. Abrams. Yeah, thank you.
I definitely will, because, after that last, pre-election, when I was here with that question about ready, I know everything about how ready.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Well, here and I could like pizza anytime. Please reach out.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
And Mr. Casson, we will get you that follow-up grade level data for high ready.
Appreciate it. Great presentation.
Thank you very much. And thank you all.
To the
Actually, one other thing. Sorry.
Yes.
We kind of skipped over it, but the I think it was the yoga sessions and also
That's something we're looking at.
therapy.
Yeah.
So you're waiting on volunteers for the pet therapy?
I don't.
I think they're in the process of training the trainers.
Yeah, I'll let.
I got you.
He's got that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, no, that's we're looking very forward to that next edition.
Okay. Any
Thank you,
other
guys.
comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Holland. Thank you, board.
I appreciate it. The work of your travel teachers is very respected, and
Thank you very much.
it shows that you guys are really doing it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your support.
Thanks, guys.
We have a little bit of business to do. We're going to run through it super quick. I should have said that before the presentation. And I'm so sorry. You have to come to work. I am so sorry about that. I should have said it right from the beginning.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. I have no idea what time it is. I'm just waiting, and I should have said that before. Thank you. Okay. Super quick, let's go through this agenda. Okay, so we are at item new page 3. Okay. A motion to approve the consent agenda, items 2 through 4. Pete, second. Joel, all in favor? Okay. Business of board. Accept the donations. I'm not my glasses on. Just excuse me for a second. Okay. I'm going to dig through my bag to get them. Whereas the Tuckahoe Free School District has been informed of a donation to be made to the district from the Tuckahoe Athletic Council, and whereas the district would like to accept such a donation, it is hereby resolved to accept a donation from the Tuckahoe Athletic Council for the following. 1. 24 t-shirts for monthly recognition of one female and one male student for the strength and conditioning program in the amount of $366. 2. Hoopball classic basketball tournament fees and additional costs in the amount of $1,000 allocated to code CM738TE34. Number 3. Girls varsity soccer rain jackets for cold weather games in the amount of $1,675. 4. Cross country team jackets in the amount of $810.40. Varsity and JV volleyball team apparel in the amount of $1,800. Girls varsity lacrosse windbreakers in the amount of $1,200. Cheerleading stunt coach in the amount of $450. Allocated to code CM738TE34. And this generous donation is greatly appreciated. Could I have a motion? Pete, second. Joel, any discussion? Thank you very much, Athletic Council, for your generosity. It's greatly appreciated. These are great additions to our athletic program. All in favor? Accept a donation. Whereas the Tuckahoe Free School District has been informed of a donation to be made to the district for the parents of the Cottle Theater, from the parents of the Cottle Theater Club, and whereas the district would like to accept such a donation, it is hereby resolved to accept a donation from the parents of the Cottle Theater Club for the proceeds from the snack and flower sale at the Mary Poppins performance in the amount of $1,094. The funds will be allocated to budget code CM738TE9A. This generous donation is greatly appreciated. Do I have a motion? Pete, second. Lynn, all in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you, parents of the Cottle Theater Club. Approve an MOA. Resolved that the Board of Education of the Tuckahoe Free School District hereby approves the MOA dated October 27, 2025, by and between the district and the Tuckahoe Teachers Association increasing the stipend for advisors of the middle school debate team commencing with the 25-26 school year. Authorizes payment thereunder and directs the superintendent to execute said memorandum of agreement. Do I have a motion? Joel, second. Pete, any discussion? All in favor?
This increase, just quick question, the increase is, I'm thinking due to time, correct? The time spent.
So after we reviewed the proposed clubs that we were looking at, and after evaluating the amount of time and responsibilities, we've decided to increase them, and that's what this resolution is that an agreement to increase those stipends for the middle school debate team.
So,
Oh, well, listen, I have to put it to the high school administration. They work collaboratively with the advisors, and I know it was an important initiative for all of us to make sure it continues. So we're glad it's going forward. We're going to send communications out once the board approves to the community tomorrow. So we'll get that.
So I know I had asked you, just for the community, I had asked you about the timing of this because I was a little concerned or a little bit surprised that this issue was stepping up and high enough was being raised so late. But it turns out it ended up in earlier. It might have been miscommunication from administration change. I just want to make sure that in the future, if we have an issue going forward where a stipend is not is an issue, we're going to feel that we recognize that in a more timely manner, so that we're not into the club when we're trying to figure out a solution to this.
1,000% agreed. I think just in terms of the sequencing, this was a discussion I believe that happened over the course of a year or so, maybe perhaps longer, that there was some requests for additional funding for this club, and it didn't finally get across the goal line. So this year, after much conversation and figuring out a pathway forward, I'm very happy that it's an agenda for the club.
It was your assessment that the stipend was too low compared to the other things based on the amount of time and effort that is required for this particular club. That was your assessment.
Absolutely. This club is the amount of time and effort the advisors spend in preparing the students, the member students, the responsibility of communicating with parents and travel and meets and things. This was definitely a stipend that should be where it is, I think.
I know we do have a few other clubs that some have been filled. You're working on that as well, right? So, because I don't want to see any clubs not being filled. So we still have some work to do in that area.
We're continuing to look at every opportunity for our students. We don't want any activity or tradition that we've invested in to not go on this year. So we're working very hard to get advisors and make sure that we can continue this.
Thank you.
Great. All in favor? Okay. And now we are up to board comments. Does anybody? Oh, I did. Oh, sorry. I thought I flipped the page before. Sorry about that. Appoint stipends. Resolved that the Board of Education of Tuckahoe Union Free School District appoint Patrick O'Connell and Maureen Colasaco as middle school debate team club advisors for the 25-26 school year at the agreed contractual amount of $5,180 per advisor. Do I have a motion? Second. Joel. Any further discussion? Thank you, Mr. O'Connell and Ms. Colasaco, for continuing this very important team. All in favor? Okay, so about that, now board papers. Anybody have any additional comments? Superintendent, I just want to say that I read without my glasses.
Just closing comments from again, I want to thank some rationals for the balance of the presentations go. A lot of work went into that, and they definitely prepared a great deal to highlight the programs at Tuckahoe, and I think the community's continued success for our students. My journey also just been being able to get a little faster and see the programs names recently, and we'll get to watch our teachers and engage with the students, and we're doing any learning walks that was able to how we get better, how we communicate best practices. Suggestions that I've gathered as I'm learning also the first response to this race results. I'm going to bring that to the conversation we were having with educators that we're trying different ways to help our students achieve. So we're excited about our journey for them, the faces way, and that's how we for just good luck to all of our student athletes that are coming up on top and sectionals. We're committed celebrating all our students for senior days, to have such an emotional time, especially to bring them in and then it's been a long journey for all. To show our students and families that we appreciate them and they're always caring about those as well. So, for that, and congrats to each debaters and we're going to see the success of our middle school debates and college and watching them compete. Successful. Great job.
So we are out adjourning the meeting. Motion to adjourn the meeting. Pete, second Lou, all in favor. I know we're sticking around, guys.